Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm Dano, and welcome to the channel. As requested in the comments of the Greenbeard guide, here's a guide to the missions in Deep Rock, and how to do them. Also, somehow it has been some sort of holiday each time I have recorded for these intro of these videos. So right now it's the egg hunt, I think it's like an Easter thing. And with the egg hunt comes the possibility of getting double XP during this event with some new cosmetics, but I digress. While I did mention in the Greenbeards guide that the Miner's Manual does explain each mission type, I'm going to show you each mission and how to do them. A brief note, if you are new to the game, you can also check out my Greenbeards guide. So I'm not going to cover things in this video like mining Nitra, but you should. Like always, mine Nitra. Like every time, don't pass it up. Also, the longer that you take on a mission, the more swarms and more bugs that can happen, so it does benefit you to hurry right along. The first mission we're going to talk about is Morkite mining. With just a quick side note that all missions do have a secondary mission, and if you complete that, you'll get more XP and a payout at the end of the mission. So, Morkite mining is one of the most straightforward missions, and really lets you get down to your rock and stone roots. The main goal of this mission will be to mine a varying amount of Morkite. Morkite looks just like this, and is mined by just right-clicking or holding right-click on the ore. Then it must be deposited in the mule, called Molly, which can be called to your location with just the C button. Once enough has been deposited and everyone is ready, the drop pod can be called at Molly. All miners head to the drop pod. At this point, I would say that it's still a courtesy that before you hit the button on Molly to call the drop pod, you ask to make sure your team is ready. But once the drop pod is called, head towards it, and remember, no dwarf left behind. Egg hunt. The goal of Egg Hunt is to find and dig up alien eggs, and then deposit them into Molly. Using your map a lot on this mission will help you find the eggs. The eggs show up just like this on the inside of a wall, so you just have to dig through and find them. The eggs are heavy, and throwing them helps move them around. After some eggs are dug up, it can and will trigger a swarm. So don't forget about Nitra. Once you deposited the amount of eggs required, you can call the drop pod on Molly, and all miners can head towards the drop pod. Point extraction. Point extraction missions differ from most of the other missions in that there will be no Molly. A mine head will drop and be your only point of drop off. It is armored with sentry guns, and if I am all by myself, I tend to gravitate towards it with the extra help during swarms. The quarks that you are after in this mission are large blue gems that need to be dug up. You can easily locate them across large dark rooms by the blue dots. Behind those blue dots are the quarks. Once you start digging through the dirt, you can kind of find where the quarks are by the shinier part of the dirt. Just follow the bright blue light. These gems are considered heavy, and you will walk slowly while carrying them. I find it helps to hold left click to throw them far in front of you, and then run up, pick them up, and repeat. I tend to try to find several of these in one area, mine them all, throw them into one spot, and then kind of volley them up towards the mining head. Working in a group of miners, you can actually form a line and throw them to each other and get them to the mine head pretty quickly. Once the amount of quarks is found and deposited into the mine head, it can be sent back and the drop pod can be called, allowing the miners to leave. Mission well done. Liquid Morkite extraction. This is honestly one of my favorite mission types, and I love to play driller on these missions. Like the last mission, again there's no Molly, but instead you have a liquid Morkite pump that gets dropped in. This is also where you drop off any of your Nitra and other ores. So in this mission, you have to find Morkite wells. Once you find the wells, you can call in pumps. And then, you have to connect those pumps to the pump station. One of the ways driller really does shine in this mission is you can drill a hole that goes straight from the well to the pump. And this makes lining up the pipes so much easier. I find it easier as the driller to make your way to the well, and then using the control button to really highlight where the pump is at, you can drill straight towards the pump that way. I do reference the map several times to make sure that I'm not going to randomly dig halfway out into a wall. Then, starting from the station and using the E button and then left clicking where you want the pipe to go, each section of the pipe can be placed. Once you've connected the pipe to the well, each section then has to be built. which just requires the miner going up to that junction and holding E until it's completed the build. And once all 3 pipes have been connected to their wells and built, you can press the button on the pump station to start pumping. But before starting the pump, I would have collected as much nitro as I can and called in supply pods all around the pump. Because once you start the pump, it's very loud. And as the game will tell you, it will draw in the locals, meaning bugs. Lots of bugs. Swarms of bugs. So by calling in all the ammo pods that you need before you start, means that you don't have to try to run around looking for nitra while the swarms are happening. And at least a few times while the pump is pumping, the pipes will break. And it seems to be in my experience that at least 2 connections per pipe will start leaking. To repair the pipe, you just find the leaky section and you hold E to repair it. And this is also the time where it can be quite fun to ride the pipes down to the broken sections. After you've repaired all 3 pipes, the pumping will commence on its own. And once it has pumped 100% of the morkite, you can then send the mining head back, and a drop pod will be called, and all the miners can leave. Escort duty. And this one is my other favorite mission. This mission finds you protecting a rather large mobile drill robot on its way to an armor and heartstone. After your team drops in, the drill will be dropped in a separate pod. Don't get squished. Pushing the button on the side of the drop pod that the drill is in doesn't start the mission, but pushing the button on the drill does. So I usually try to find what nitra, ores, and whatever the secondary mission needed before I hit the drill button. And that's because it is loud, and it always starts a swarm. When the drill's running, swarms happen. Once you get that drill moving, it does have a limited amount of fuel on board, and will run out a few times on its way to the heartstone. To refill the drill, take out the fuel canisters and point them at shale. It will laser the fuel right up. Some of it is easier to reach than others. I recommend at least one of the miners staying within eye shot of the drill to keep off the bugs and repair it. The drill can take unreversible damage. So while somebody keeps an eye on the drill, the others can go and grab fuel, and grab nitra, grab ores. Once you've filled up both canisters, you can put them back in the drill, and once everybody's ready, you can hit the button to start the drill again. And again, the drill is loud, swarms will happen. Once the drill has made its way to the armor and heartstone, it will stop. This gives you a chance in the last room to find the last bit of ores you need, the last bit of the secondary mission, and just generally get ready for this last fight. This is time for the engineers to set up turrets, this is time to call in drop pods, this is time to get ready for a big fight. Once you hit the button on the drill for a last time, get ready for swarms. The drill has 4 phases of drilling towards the armor and heart, and each of those 4 phases will come with several swarms. There will also be floating rocks to shoot, and laser beams to mine down. Once the drill has uncovered the armor and heartstone, you can load it on Molly and call in the drop pod. Elimination. If shooting bugs is your thing, then elimination will definitely be your game. This mission involves finding several large dreadnought cocoons, popping them, and killing whatever comes out. You might find this a common theme, but before you pop a cocoon, make sure everyone's ready. If the cocoon is in a small hallway, it would benefit the whole team to find a big room near and lure it to that room before actually fighting it. Dreadnoughts have a much larger AoE or area of effect attack, and you will need the room. And each different dreadnought has several different ways they need to be fought. The Glyphid dreadnought has a shield on its rear end that needs to be broken several times. The twins, they kind of have to be shot down in even amounts, otherwise they will port to each other and heal. And the Hive Guard, it will be unhittable until you have taken out the guards, and then hit its weak spots, and then shoot its rear. Once you've eliminated the number of dreadnoughts that the mission requires, you can call in the drop pod on Molly and head on home. Salvage mission. This mission has you find some mini mules that need repaired. Finding the mini mules and holding E will give you the location of the legs on the map. Once the number of mules for the mission are fixed, you will also receive what nitra and gold was in the mini mules. Once the mini mules are fixed, they will head back to a drop pod that is already on the map. This drop pod will need to be refueled before you can leave. To start that process, you have to repair the communications uplink. Before fully repairing the communications uplink, I highly recommend finding as much nitra and calling in ammo drops beforehand. Once the uplink is repaired, it will have a bubble that at least one of the miners has to stay in before the uplink can triangulate. You'll want to set up around this area. If the uplink happened to be really close to a cave wall, this is another spot where the driller can drill out some of the wall to give you more of the bubble to stand in. Once the uplink is finished, you can move around a bit. You don't have to stay inside of a bubble until the fuel pod arrives. Once it arrives, go find the fuel pod and you'll have to connect the fuel line to the drop pod. If you've already done one of the liquid Morkite missions, this will feel just like the connecting of the pipes to the well. The fuel line has to be connected to a single spot on the drop pod, and if I'm not the one connecting it, I do tend to ping it a couple of times just to help the person or the miner who is connecting it find the location. Once the fuel line is hooked up and the fuel pod is repaired by holding E on it, the team will be faced with yet another bubble to stay in, which of course means more swarms of bugs. So before you get it completely repaired, make sure you prep the area and get more ammo. Once the pod has been fueled up, you'll get a 2-minute timer while the pod's systems restart. During those 2 minutes, you just have to fight off bugs, and once the pod opens, GG, everybody go home. Industrial Sabotage. This mission has you stealing info from a data vault. It has 3 parts. Once you find the vault, you will need to shut down the shield. Follow the red power lines all the way to the 2 different power stations. Each of the power stations plays the same. You just have to do it twice. Once you find the power station, you can call in a hacking pod. Once you find the hacking pod, you pick up transmitter nodes and place them in a line to the power station. If you're not by yourself, and you're with a team of miners, it can work really well for one person to stay at the pod and throw all the nodes at the other miners while they create the line. Works a little faster. Once you have a connection from the hacking pod to the power station, you can then start the hack. While the hacking pod is hacking, you have to protect it. This does mean swarms, and sometimes drones. If the hacking pod does take too much damage, it may shut down, and you may have to restart it again. After you do this to both of the shield generators, you head back to the vault, and you set up the area for the fight. This is when I call in drop pods, set up zip lines, build turrets. If there's not much room around the vault, this is a good time for the driller to clear out some of that area to give you room to work with. Once the team is ready, just remove both batteries and the shield will shut down and the fight will start. At its core, this fight is kind of straightforward. Shoot the shields that are at the very top. Once the shields are down, you shoot whatever eye is available. You do all of this while dodging arms that shoot you and stab you, drones that come out, sniper turrets that come out, and mines that may come out and try to blow you up. If you're pretty good at running and gunning and can just dodge all the stuff, it does make the fight a lot faster to just try to hit the main points on the vault. I also know that the driller's flamethrower makes machines almost instant die when they catch fire. This can help these kind of fights out a lot. Once you've downed the vault and it's opened up, you can retrieve the core and strap it to Molly, and then call in the drop pod and all the miners can go home. So these are just the basics of the core missions in Deep Rock Galactic. A few random events can happen while doing these, like cargo crates, lost packs, machine events, and some creature encounters. These are random enough that I didn't even encounter all of them while doing the recording for this. I do want to make a video about these when I get them all recorded. But until then, lean on that DRG community. If any of those that are in the group with you, I would say if they're over like level 20, just throwing a number out there, not a dead fast rule, they probably know how to do these encounters. Just ask them. And how helpful the DRG community is one of the reasons I really do love this game. Thanks everyone for watching this guide, and for the comments section for requesting it. If you learned something or have anything to suggest for another DRG video, let me know in the comments. My name is Captain Dano, and if you see me in one of your drops, go ahead and give me a good rockin' stone. And feel free to turn on your mic, I will too. I am working on doing DRG deep dive guides as I do more of them, and a video about how to obtain and make some overclocks. So if you like, subscribe, and maybe even hit that bell, you'll know when those videos go live. So remember, mine all that nitra, and to keep on gaming.